Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika Mehto, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Minister of External Affairs Subramaniam Jaishankar says Palestinians been denied a homeland, underlines the importance of a two-state solution. Israel asked the US to reschedule a meeting on Rafah military plan that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had cancelled after the US did not veto a UN Security Council resolution on Gaza ceasefire. Audio from black box data recorder shows that the pilot of the cargo ship that knocked down a bridge in the US had radioed her tugboat help. Divers recovered 2 bodies. Investigation may take up 2 years. And Russia doubts Islamic State hand in the Moscow concert hall attack. Death toll rises to 143. 95 are still missing. India's Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, has said that the Palestinians have been denied their homeland. He also reiterated India's support for a two-state solution to address the Israel-Palestinian conflict. He made the remarks during his visit to Malaysia.
On the one hand, what happened on October 7th was terrorism. On the other hand, nobody would, countenance the deaths of innocent civilians. Countries may be justified, at least in their own minds, in responding. But you cannot have a response which does not, every response must take into account something called international humanitarian law. And the fact is that whatever the rights and wrongs of the issue, there is the underlying issue of the rights of the Palestinians and the fact that they have been denied their homeland.
Israel has asked the White House to reschedule a high-level meeting on military plans for Gaza's southern city of Rafah. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had previously cancelled the visit after the US did not veto a Gaza ceasefire resolution adopted by the UNSC on the 25th of March.
The Minister's office has agreed to reschedule the meeting dedicated to Rafah. So we're now working with them to find a convenient date that's obviously going to work for both sides. But his office has agreed to reschedule that meeting that would be dedicated to Rafah, which is a good thing.
Now, the US said that it believes that the hostage talks with Israel and Hamas are not over yet. US State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that Washington, D.C. sees an opportunity to continue pursuing the release of hostages.
The hostage negotiations we do not believe are over. We do not believe they've come to an end. We believe that there is an ability to continue to pursue the release of hostages, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Meanwhile, tensions persist on Israel's border with Lebanon, with the Israeli army releasing a video on Wednesday showing what it claims to be a strike on terrorist cell at Naqoura in Lebanon. Now, Spain on Wednesday airdropped 26 tons of humanitarian aid to Gaza. The operation, carried out in coordination with Jordan and co-financed by European Union, involved 2 Airbus A400 military planes dropping more than 11,000 food packets. Footage released by the Spanish Foreign Ministry showed crates of supplies leaving an aircraft ramp and heading towards the ground via parachutes. Ukraine's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dmytro Kuleba, arrived in New Delhi on Thursday. And in a short while from now, Minister Kuleba, he has already laid the wreath at Rajghat in India's capital, New Delhi, to pay homage to Mahatma Gandhi, who's the father of the nation. On Friday, he will also hold talks with India's Minister of External Affairs, Dr. Jaishankar, on bilateral partnership and regional as well as global issues. The Ukrainian minister will also hold talks with India's Deputy National Security Advisor, Vikram Misri, and engage with members of the business community. Ahead of his visit, Minister Kuleba said that Ukraine sees India as an important global power.
This will be my first visit to the country and the first visit of a Ukrainian foreign minister to India in 7 years. The aim of this visit is to strengthen the Ukrainian-Indian relationship. Ukraine sees India as an important global power with a powerful international voice. We are confident that close cooperation will benefit both our nations.
Ukraine's foreign minister also welcomed India's participation in the reconstruction of Ukraine.
India is welcome to cooperate, to engage with Ukraine on economic projects now, and of course to engage in the reconstruction of Ukraine.
Meanwhile, Russia and Ukraine continued with the attacks on each other. Moscow claims to have launched strikes on targets, including the storage points of drones by Ukraine, while Ukraine said that it had repelled multiple Russian offensives and launched air strikes on Russian positions. The Ukrainian army attacked Russian military personnel and military equipment, hitting important targets such as the Russian air defense system. Earlier, Zelensky visited the fortifications in the country's northeastern Sumy region, inspecting trenches, dugouts and firing positions on Wednesday. Now, Ukraine has stepped up construction of fortifications in recent months as it shifts its military operations against Russia to a more defensive footing. President Zelensky said that Ukraine's defensive constructions needed to be boosted and work on them accelerated in Ukraine's east. President Zelensky also visited Ukrainian soldiers at a military hospital and awarded them medals. Amidst reports of the West supplying F-16 fighters to Ukraine, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has said that they will be shot down by the Russian forces if used. Now, speaking to the Russian Air Force pilots, Putin said that the US-led military alliance had expanded eastward towards Russia since the 1991 fall of the Soviet Union, but Moscow had no plans to attack a NATO member. The Kremlin accused the US of fighting against Russia by supporting Ukraine with money, weapons and intelligence. It also says that the relations with the US have probably never been worse. A delegation of Russia's External Intelligence Bureau visited the North Korean capital of Pyongyang between Monday and Wednesday and also discussed boosting cooperation against spying. During the visit, officials of the Intelligence Bureau and the ministry also held working-level talks. The two sides discussed further boosting cooperation and also briefed each other on international and regional situation regarding the Korean Peninsula and Russia. The United States on Wednesday announced sanctions on 6 individuals and 2 entities based in Russia, China and the United Arab Emirates, accusing them of channeling funds to North Korea's weapon programs. Now, South Korea, a US ally, also imposed sanctions on 4 of the same 6 individuals and the 2 entities. A US Treasury Department statement and South Korea's foreign ministry said the action was taken in coordination between the 2 countries. The entities to be hit with sanctions were Alice LLC based on Vladivostok, Russia, and UAE-based Pioneer Pencon Star Real Estate. The statement also said that both the firms were subordinate to Shingyong Information Technology Cooperation Co., an entity associated with North Korea's armed forces. Ambassadors from European Union countries reached a revised deal on Wednesday to extend tariff-free food imports from Ukraine, but with certain restrictions. The agreement now goes to the European Parliament, where diplomats expect a push to add more restrictions to it. A European Union diplomat said that the new deal that would run until the June 2025 was similar to a provisional agreement struck last week, but changed the reference period used to determine when tariffs on some products would be applied. Belgium, that holds the European Union's rotating presidency, said that the agreement secured a balanced approach between support for Ukraine and protection of European Union agricultural markets. Ukraine and few other countries argue that the imports have little effects on the EU market. But some European Union farming groups and countries such as France and Poland had argued that the measures needed to be tightened to avoid making European Union agricultural products uncompetitive. Commuters in South Korea's capital faced a tough time as bus drivers went on strike on Thursday after last-ditch efforts at negotiating a wage hike broke down. DD India's Laura Westbrook reports from Hong Kong.
This is the first strike by bus drivers in Seoul in more than 12 years. The number of buses that are affected are about 7,000 buses are out of commission. That's about 97% of the buses in the city. And this all kicked off at 4 a.m. local time. So that really having that maximum impact on commuters who kind of reportedly some woke up and weren't aware that this strike was taking place. So really having an impact on them. Now, this all stems from a breakdown in negotiations. Apparently, these negotiations were a marathon session. They ran late into the night. Between the bus driver labor union, they have around 18,000 members, and their management. And the union is asking for a 12.7% increase in their hourly wage. Their management dismissed that. They said that that was excessive. They offered a 2.5% wage increase. And that's really when, the negotiations broke down and this strike happened. Now, the Seoul Transport Bureau has stepped in. They said they're going to really try and resolve this on both sides. But in the meantime, Seoul, which has around 9 million people, all those commuters, they're being affected by this strike.
It's time to take a short break on DD India Live, but still to come. Russia casts doubt over perpetrators behind the Moscow concert hall attack, vows to find the true perpetrators amid a call for global anti-terrorism efforts. Bus drivers in South Korea's capital Seoul go on strike after talks on a wage hike breaks down. And the bodies of at least 2 people recovered after a bridge in the US city of Baltimore collapsed.
Hong Kong passes a draconian national security law. Has democracy died in Hong Kong? Was there a secret weapon behind the mysterious Havana syndrome that shook American diplomacy? And the last decade was the hottest ever. Is our planet on the brink? Watch Connecting the Dots to get the full picture every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India. Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live with me, Deepika. Well, the Moscow concert hall massacre has sparked a blame game with Russia, now saying that it was extremely hard to believe that the Islamic State would have had the capacity to launch the attack. It also reiterated that Ukraine was behind the attack. Now, the death toll has risen to 143. 95 people are still missing. Meanwhile, Russia has bolstered its security and is calling for international efforts to combat terrorism. The new security initiatives have led to tangible results, including the detention of a terror suspect in the Samara region, even as an investigation continues to identify the true perpetrators of the attack. Well, the bodies of at least 2 of the 6 people missing after the US bridge collapse have been recovered. Investigations are on to determine the cause of the incident.
New insights into the Baltimore bridge collapse have emerged a day after massive cargo ship Dali lost power and struck a support pylon of Francis Scott Key Bridge. The pilot of the cargo freighter had radioed for tugboat help and reported a power loss minutes earlier. This is according to the ship's black box data recorder. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board Chair Jennifer Homeland said investigation is expected to take between 12 to 24 months.
This bridge was in satisfactory condition. The last fracture critical inspection was in May 2023. We have not been able to go through that inspection and all the documents, but that will occur after we leave the on-scene portion. And so I have no doubt that we will be able to pull this together in hopefully 12 to 24 months.
Divers on Wednesday recovered the remains of 2 of the 6 workers missing since the accident.
Divers recovered two victims of this tragedy trapped within the vehicle. The victims were identified as Alejandro Hernandez Fuentes, 35 years old, of Baltimore, and Dorlian Ranial Castillo Cabrera, 26 years old, of Dundalk.
Divers have been swimming in chilly waters with metal debris from the bridge that fell in the river, but has over 1.5 metric gallons of fuel oil and lube oil on board.
The vessel is stable, but it still has over 1.5 million gallons of fuel oil and lube oil on board. And it does have 4,700 cargo containers on board. 56 of those contain hazardous materials, and 2 are missing overboard.
The economic fallout in the U.S. due to the accident could be staggering.
Economic numbers, about 8,000 jobs we think are directly implicated, and over $100 million of cargo moves in and out of that port a day.
Analysts are also warning the economic impact of a downed bridge could be felt across the globe, with some suggesting it may lead to a temporary increase in prices of coal in India as U.S. producers are forced to find new shipping routes.
President Emmanuel Macron of France has reacted sharply to the troubled talks over a free trade deal between the European Union and South America's bloc Mercosur. On the last day of his visit to Brazil, Macron called it as a very bad deal that lacks proper climate considerations. He further said that the deal is outdated and needs to be reworked. For its part, Brazil has said that it is ready to sign a deal. Well, France has repeatedly expressed reservations on the deal, saying that its farmers have objected to the prospect that could allow in agricultural imports, notably beef, that do not meet European Union standards. Earlier this month, European Union officials have said that decisive progress was possible by the month of July. The deal will ease trade barriers between the European Union and South American Mercosur bloc, despite growing opposition from France.
I deeply believe that we need to rethink our trade rules in light of this advantage, which is why I prefer to put my foot down in front of this assembly. I have spoken out very forcefully to say that Mercosur, as it is.
Earlier, the 2 presidents launched a submarine build in Brazil, and before that, let's go live across where the Ministry of External Affairs is addressing the media.
This is Ayush from NI. I would just like to have your reaction on the second statement by the US State Department spokesperson on Kejriwal, which has also mentioned the frozen Congress account.
Okay. Please.
So this is Pal Singh from Doordarshan. Could you tell us about the engagement with the Ukrainian foreign minister?
please.
Vedika Sood from CNN International. I have two questions, so bear with me. The first is there were 22 crew members on board the container ship when it collided. Can you tell us about their health, their condition, where they are, and has someone from the government reached out to them? The second question is if you can give us an update on the Indians who were duped by the agents and were sent to Russia to join the military. How many men do we know of now who are still in Russia, and what's the update on the death toll, if any? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, question there to a friend.
This is Kunal from PTI. This is just a follow-up on the question the lady asked. The 22 crew member who were there on board, I think one report suggests that he was injured and taken to a hospital and he's now safe. Do we know about the condition of the other crew members? About the particulars, were they Singapore-based, were they Indian-based and traveling? And has there been any official communication from the US government or Maryland authorities to the Indian side? Thank you.
जयशंकर सिंह एनडीटीवी से एक आपत्ति जताए जाने के बाद फिर से अमेरिका की तरफ से दूसरा बयान आया है केजरीवाल और कांग्रेस के खाते को लेकर, तो इस पे क्या हमने कोई अपनी तरफ से नाराजगी जताई है, आपत्ति फिर जताई है, कि किसी को तलब किया गया है यूएस एम्बेसी से फिर?
So let me take all these questions and then we'll come back. There are a couple of questions regarding the US State Department spokesperson's comment. As you know that we've already, yesterday India had lodged its strong objection and protest with the senior official from the US Embassy with regard to the comments made by the US State Department. The recent remarks by the State Department are unwarranted. Any such external imputation on our electoral and legal processes is completely unacceptable. In India, legal processes are driven only by the rule of law. Anyone who has similar ethos, especially fellow democracies, should have no difficulty in appreciating this fact. India is proud of its independent and robust democratic institutions. We are committed to protect them from any form of undue external influences. Mutual respect and understanding form the foundation of international relations, and states are expected to be respectful of the sovereignty and internal affairs of others. So this is our statement in response to your questions. हिंदी में इसका आपको रूपांतरण करके आपको दे दिया जाएगा। भाजी मैंने खासकर बोला है कि इसका रूपांतरण करके आपको दे दिया जाए। Amrit, your question was regarding the visit of Ukrainian Foreign Minister. The visit of Ukrainian Foreign Minister is happening on the invitation of External Affairs Minister. He'll be here for on a 2-day visit. As you would have seen, we have issued a press release in this regard. He'll have a bilateral engagement with the External Affairs Minister, where they will go over the gamut of issues that lie in the domain of bilateral relations, and also review the intergovernmental commission that was held earlier. They will also discuss issues regarding global issues and regional issues of common concern, and then there are several other engagements also lined up for the Ukrainian Foreign Minister. Vedika, regarding your question on the Indians who were on the ship, our information is that there are 21 crew members, of which 20 are Indians. All of them are in good shape, good health. One of them got injured slightly and needed to have some stitches. The stitches have been given and he's then gone back to the ship. Our embassy is in close touch with the Indians on board and also with local authorities in this matter. Regarding Russia, as I told you earlier also, we are constantly in touch with Russian authorities. We have taken it up strongly for them to have our nationals released and discharged as early as possible. I will have an update for you, and as and when I have an update for you, I will keep you informed. On the death toll, we know last time also I had told you that 2 people have passed away. Their mortal remains have come to India, and they have have been sent to their family members. And so the death toll is where 2 people had passed away, died in that in the conflict. Kunal, regarding your question on the crew members, I already answered. There are 20 Indian nationals on board, and they are in good health, and one of them was injured, and we've taken care of him. उमा जी, आपके सवाल का जवाब हमने दे दिया है अंग्रेजी में, हिंदी में आपको इसका रूपांतरण, इसका कॉपी मिल जाएगा. सिद्धांत.
Sir, this is regarding China. China recently again claimed the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. Your reaction? And secondly, it also reacted on the Panmun case, saying that countries should abide by rules-based order. What is India's reaction on that?
Okay. Please, Madhu.
सर, मैं न्यूज नेशन से कल WMCC की बैठक भी हुई और उसमें LAC पर जो भारत और चीन के बीच का विवाद है उसको भी लेकर ये बताया गया है प्रेस रिलीज में भी कि काफी इन डेप्थ डिस्कशन हुआ. बियॉन्ड द प्रेस रिलीज अगर कुछ जानकारी दे पाए कि बातचीत किस नतीजे तक पहुंची.
Hi, this is Jaishankar from DD India. On the recent visit of Prime Minister to Bhutan, there was a proposal to construct a motorable road through Bhutan that would connect Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. Any update on that, and any concerns that Bhutan might have expressed?
Okay. Rishikesh.
Rishikesh from PTI. So about India-China border talks. So is there any specific area of LAC being discussed, like center area or Arunachal?
Okay. Rishabh.
So Rishabh from Times. Now the Canadian Prime Minister has again spoken about credible allegations against India in the Niger case. And he has spoken about that he is engaging constructively with India. So if we can have an update on India-Canada discussion around this, given that the state media from Canada had released a footage claiming it to be the CCTV footage of Niger killing.
Let's come back. Any questions that are related to the subjects that were just highlighted? Sudhi?
Sir, Shudhi Ranjan from Bloomberg, sir. Just drawing your attention to the recent statement that we have seen from Germany on Kejriwal. We have seen a string of statements from the United States on the same issue. Does the government of India see this as separate, disparate incidents, and, or they see a connection between these two?
Similar questions? Okay. So, Siddhant, regarding your question, let me make it very clear. Our position on the matter has been made very clear on Arunachal Pradesh time and again. We have recently also issued statements in this regard. I think a couple of statements. China may repeat its baseless claims as many times as they want. That is not going to change our position. Arunachal Pradesh was, is, and will remain and always remain an integral and inalienable part of India. Your question regarding what the Chinese MFA had spoken about a certain person, I would say that India and the United States, as two countries adhering to rule of law, are capable of dealing with any issues that we have between ourselves. There is no role for any speculative comments and gratuitous advice by unrelated third parties. So that answers your question. मधु, आपका सवाल था जो अभी हमने बैठक किया है चीन के साथ, उसके बारे में उस पर हम लोगों ने एक प्रेस विज्ञप्ति जारी की है। आपको मैं कहूँगा कि आप उस प्रेस विज्ञप्ति को पढ़ें। उसके जो हमको कहना था हम लोगों ने उस प्रेस विज्ञप्ति में कह दिया है। The 29th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Border Affairs was held on 27th in Beijing. On our side, the delegation was led by a Joint Secretary in East Asia in the Ministry of External Affairs. The Chinese side was led by Director General of the Boundary and Oceanic Department of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The two sides had an in-depth exchange of views on how to achieve complete disengagement and resolve the remaining issues along the line of actual control in the western sector of India-China border areas. In the interim, both sides agreed to maintain regular contact through diplomatic and military channels, and on the need to uphold peace and tranquility on the ground in the border areas in accordance with existing bilateral agreements and protocols. So this is that we have to share with you. Jessica, your question regarding the road project you talked about, I would say that I have not seen any. You referred to any report in that regard? Where do you see this then?
I read a brief mention in CGTN about it as well, but otherwise there have been just...
Well, I have not seen any specific report in this regard. However, as you have seen from the outcomes of the Prime Minister's visit, recent visit to Bhutan, the two sides have been pursuing connectivity projects, several initiatives for enhancing connectivity, taking a broader view of this area of cooperation, given its significant benefits, including for tourism and for economic development. ऋषिकेश, आपका सवाल भी चीन को लेकर था, जो हम लोग के साथ बातचीत चल रही है, दो पक्षीय बातचीत चल रही है, उस पर हम लोगों ने प्रेस रिलीज जारी किया है। उस प्रेस रिलीज में जो हम लोगों को कहना था हम लोगों ने कह दिया है, तो वहीं तक यही है हमारे पास अभी आपको बात बताने के लिए। Rishabh, you had a question on the Canadian Prime Minister's recent comments. See, what Prime Minister Trudeau has really said is nothing new. I would recall that on 21st September last year, my predecessor had, in a presser here, had mentioned that India remains ready, and I would like to reiterate that we are ready to investigate any specific and concrete information if it is shared with us, but we are yet to receive any such information. We have also cautioned against playing politics and giving extremists more space. So that is to answer your question. So on the question of comments made by spokespersons of the United States State Department and the comments made by the spokesperson of the German Foreign Ministry, we have made our position very clear. We have, in the case of German Foreign Ministry's comments, we made a statement, and similarly we made a statement on the comments made by the US State Department spokesperson, and today again we have made some comments. So that is where I leave it. Suhasini?
Suhasini Haider from The Hindu. If I could just ask about Mr. Kuleba's visit. Ahead of the visit, Prime Minister Modi had spoken to President Zelensky, who had then tweeted that he hopes India will join an upcoming Swiss peace conference that will bring both Russia and Ukraine to the table, or it hopes to do so. So I want to ask what India's position is on this Swiss peace conference, and whether India will be taking any kind of a larger role, discussing any kind of a larger role when Mr. Kuleba comes here on the issue of the Ukraine war. And my second question pertains to External Affairs Minister Jaishankar's statement in Malaysia. He said that India has been asked to convey messages on the Israel-Gaza conflict right now. I was wondering if you could tell us more about what kind of messages India has been asked to convey to both sides, and is India explicitly calling for a ceasefire, because every other country, including the United States, has now officially asked for a ceasefire in Gaza. While India has, of course, voted at the UNGA, there is no such statement yet. So I just wanted to clarify, what is India's position on calling for on Israel for a ceasefire in Gaza?
Abhishek?
Sir, Abhishek Jaishankar from CNN News City. My question is regarding Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs statement that came in the wake of External Affairs Minister Jaishankar expressing solidarity while being in Philippines. And the statement by the Chinese MOFA said that this amounts to some sort of interference in third party, and third parties have no right to interfere whatsoever. And we urge relevant parties to face squarely the facts and truth about the South China Sea issues and respect China's territorial sovereignty. You have any comment on that?
Okay. Yeah. So Suhasini, coming to the visit of Ukrainian Foreign Minister, as you know that he's arrived in Delhi. He's here for a 2-day visit at the invitation of our External Affairs Minister. We will be discussing several aspects of our bilateral relationship, and also looking into areas of mutual interest and common concern, global issues and regional issues. As far as the question that you asked, our position is very clear on peace initiatives and how we look at the Ukraine-Russia conflict. We continue to encourage peaceful resolution of the conflict through dialogue and diplomacy, and remain open to engaging all ways and means that would help achieve this objective. So that is how I would answer your question. Regarding Gaza and the ceasefire, recently there was a UN Security Council resolution which was adopted. We see that resolution as a positive development. Beyond that, our position on Israel-Gaza conflict is very well known and has been articulated on multiple occasions. We have repeatedly called for de-escalation and preventing the spread of the conflict. We have condemned terrorism, called for release of hostages, sought protection of civilians, and reiterated the need for safe and timely delivery of humanitarian assistance and aid to the people of Palestine, and we also stand for a two-state solution. So that is how I would answer your question. Abhishek, regarding your question on Philippines, External Affairs Minister has already made our position very clear, how we look at issues that impact that part of the world, and he talked about it in very clear terms. It is in line with our long-standing position on the particular matter. So if there are no, there's a Kalol there.
Kalol Bhattacharjee from the Hindu. Last week we saw the Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran desk chief, Mr. JP Singh, visiting the Afghan embassy in Delhi. And we know that the Afghan embassy was shut down in November. So in this particular visit, he met with the Consul General of Afghanistan in Delhi, and there was discussion about various issues, including an Afghan India fund that goes back in time to 2007 or 8. So my question is, are we really now engaging the Taliban dispensation to such an extent that where these sort of, matters, like functional matters, like exchanges of funds and things like that are being discussed? And also, is the Afghan embassy now officially open? That's also something I would like to know, because we don't have a head of mission, as I am given to understand, but is there a new head of mission that you would like to tell us that has taken over in the recent days?
Okay. Kunal?
This is regarding the Sri Lankan Prime Minister's visit to China. Is India looking into it? Is there any reading to it, or what's the stand of India, sir?
Okay. So, Kalal, to answer your question, the meeting of MEA officials with accredited diplomats is normal part of our functioning of our diplomacy. So I would leave it at that. Kunal, regarding a question regarding the visit of Sri Lankan Prime Minister to Beijing, we monitor all developments that have an impact on our economic and security interests, and we take necessary action that are required to be taken. Sudeep.
So thank you for giving me a second question. So just drawing your notice to a statement from China which says that both sides, India and China, positively assess progress on the border issue at the WMCC meeting. Is there a breakthrough in the border dispute?
Sudhi, I would like to tell you that, this morning itself we had given a press release of the meeting that happened in Beijing. I would refer you to the press release. Please see, we have made some comments there. We have given details of how we have engaged with each other, and therefore I would request that please, if you could look at the press release, it will be helpful. Thank you very much. Let's close this session. See you later.
So that was the weekly media briefing by Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Mr. Randhir Jaiswal on the issue of USSD, commenting on India's electoral process and specifically on Arvind Kejriwal's arrest by the Enforcement Directorate. The Ministry of External Affairs has once again reiterated that they have strongly objected to the matter, and they called it the recent comments as unwarranted and also any external interference with the democratic electoral process of India as unacceptable as well. On the Arunachal Pradesh issue, once again the ministry has reiterated that Arunachal Pradesh remains an integral part of India. Not only this, the Ministry of External Affairs also addressed various international bilateral concerns, developments and issues that were raised by the media personalities, and also regarding the visit of Dmytro Kuleba's visit to India and what can we expect next. So that was from the Ministry of External Affairs weekly media presser. Continuing with the bulletin now. Bruised and fractured by Tayyip Erdogan's victory in 2023 general elections, Turkey's opposition now aims to land a blow in Sunday's local polls. The nationwide municipal votes on the 31st of March could reinforce President Erdogan's control after 2 decades running Turkey, or signal change in the NATO members' deeply divided political landscape. Opposition hopes of transformation that were fueled by local election results in 2019 when they defeated Erdogan's AK party in the main 2 cities, Istanbul and Ankara. The results are likely to be shaped in part by economic woes. A U.S. appeals court denied a bid by Texas to begin enforcing a contentious law that would let state authorities detain those suspected of illegally crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. The law would make it a state crime to illegally enter or re-enter Texas from a foreign country and would also empower state judges to order that violators leave the United States. The punishment now includes prison sentences of up to 20 years for those who refuse to comply. The Republican-backed law met immediate legal pushback from Democratic President Joe Biden's administration. The White House says it oversteps the authority of the federal government to enforce immigration laws. In a bid to reduce traffic in Manhattan's Central Business District, reduce pollution and also provide critical funding for transit improvements, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority Board voted on Wednesday to approve the toll rates for Manhattan's congestion pricing program, which is the first of its kind in the United States. Now, under the plan, New York City will charge a daily toll of $15 during the day for passenger vehicles driving in Manhattan south of 60th Street starting the mid-June. It will also charge up to $36 for larger trucks and buses. The plan still faces a number of legal challenges, including from the state of New Jersey. Now, New York City, that has the most congested traffic of any U.S. city, is set to follow London, that implemented a similar charge back in year 2003. Puerto Rico declared a public health emergency on Wednesday following a significant increase in the number of dengue cases on the island. According to the island's health department, at least 549 cases have been reported so far and more than 340 people have been hospitalized. Chief Medical Officer at Puerto Rico's Department of Health says that if these numbers continue to rise, the island's health system could be compromised. Now, the authorities on the island have carried out numerous spraying operations to mitigate the number of mosquitoes, and also the situation is being currently monitored. And now in DD India Live, let's take a look at some more stories making news around the world. Fiji's former Prime Minister Frank Bainimarama was discharged from the court on Thursday after being convicted last week for perverting the court of justice. In Fiji, an absolute discharge is the lowest level sentence that an offender can get. It means that no conviction is registered against him. He led Fiji for 16 years and came to power in 2006 coup and later won democratic elections in 2014 and 2018. Dozens of anti-mining protesters held a sit-in outside Ecuador's capital Quito as tensions continued over mining rights. The demonstration took place to oppose the government plans to pave the way for mining of gold, silver and copper. Ecuador has been under a state of emergency since January to quell a wave of gang violence. Thousands joined hands on Wednesday to form a human chain at Nashville in the U.S. state of Tennessee and remember the victims of an elementary school shooting last year. Now, last March, a 28-year-old former student stormed into the private convent school with rifles and killed 3 9-year-old children along with 3 staff members. The shooting prompted cries for gun control and also led to large protests in the state capital. Otani Mania officially kicked off in downtown Los Angeles on Wednesday with the unveiling of a 15-story mural of the new Dodger star Shohei Otani. Boyle Heights artist Robert Vargas created the mural depicting the Japanese sensation in his new Dodger uniform in a pair of images, one swinging a bat and the other pitching, highlighting the talents of the offensive and defensive standouts. And now it's time to get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic election. Nominations for Phase 2 of India's general elections began, while a total of 88 constituencies across 12 states and union territories will now go to the poll in the second phase as well. They are Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tripura, Uttar Pradesh and West Bengal. Apart from the outer Manipur seat, polling will take place on the 26th of April for the second phase. Today is the last day of filing of nominations for first. Well, today is the last day of filing of nominations for first phase polls in northern Indian state of Bihar. Prominent candidates of national and regional political parties have filed their nominations in Gaya, Nevada, Aurangabad and Jamui for the 19th of April 18th Lok Sabha poll. Lok Janshakti Party, led by Chirag Paswan, fielded Arun Bharti from Jamui constituency, while in Gaya, former Bihar Chief Minister Jitin Ram Manjhi will be the National Democratic Alliance's candidate. He will be taking on RJD candidate Kumar Sarvjit. In Nevada, BJP has fielded Vivek Thakur, who is a Rajya Sabha member. On to Maharashtra campaigning updates now. A Maha Vikas Aghadi Alliance meeting is being held in the port city of Mumbai on Thursday. Senior leaders from the Indian National Congress, the NCP and Shiv Sena are taking part in the meeting. Shiv Sena lawmaker Sanjay Raut said that the primary focus of the meeting will be on joint rallies, campaigns and a minimum common program as well. BJP's President JP Nadda appointed C.R. Kesavan as national spokesperson of the party. Kesavan, who is a former Congress leader from Tamil Nadu and a great-grandson of India's first governor, General C. Rajagopalachari, joined the BJP party last year. Meanwhile, after the nominations for the first phase, leaders of various political parties have begun their campaigning for India's parliamentary elections. In the southern state of Tamil Nadu, DMK candidate from South Chennai and party sitting lawmaker Tamilachi Thangapandian began her election campaigning from T Nagar in Chennai. The Chennai South Lok Sabha constituency is one of 39 constituencies across the state. It is also one of the most densely populated constituencies in the southern India. The AIA-DMK has fielded Dr. J. Jayavardhan as its candidate from South Chennai. In the latest list of Lok Sabha candidates by the Congress party, Ajay Rai has been given the ticket from Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, while former Minister Pradeep Jainaditya has been given the ticket from Jhansi. But Supriya Srinath, the national spokesperson of the Congress party from Maharajganj, has been dropped. The party has made Virendra Chaudhary its candidate from Maharajganj. Srinath had made controversial comments against BJP candidate Kangana Ranaut from Himachal Pradesh's Mandi constituency. Conducting a general election in a country of India's size is quite literally a Himalayan task. And to ensure seamless electoral process, the Election Commission of India appoints observers. Our next report tells you more about the duties of an observer.
Conducting elections in a country with a population of over 1.4 billion is not an easy task. To ensure checks and balances in the electoral process, the Election Commission of India, the country's election regulator, appoints government officials as observers during polls to oversee the process and ensure fairness. They work under the ECI. The observers are divided into 4 categories: general, police, expenditure, and counting. General and police observers oversee polling stations to make sure that they have necessary infrastructure, support, and facilities. They also scrutinize candidates' nomination, apart from ensuring effective implementation of the Model Code of Conduct, a set of guidelines laid down by the ECI for candidates contesting elections. Expenditure observers keep an eye on the book of accounts of candidates and monitor spending by them during campaigns. Currently, the expenditure limit for general election candidates in constituencies in bigger states is nearly $9 million, while for smaller states it's $7 million. As the name suggests, counting observers supervise the counting process. Apart from their specific duties, observers also address grievances and complaints of the candidates related to the polling process. Their task involves submitting timely reports to the Election Commission, which can also be done using the poll body's observer portal. The contact details of observers are published in local newspapers so that the public can also approach them for any poll-related issues. Observers play a major role in boosting the confidence of the stakeholders by making the system more transparent.
The 10th edition of the India-Seychelles Joint Military Exercise, codenamed Clementier 24, ended on Wednesday in Seychelles. High standards of professionalism and training were on display by the soldiers of both the nations. India and Seychelles enjoy a strong defence cooperation. The soldiers trained, planned and executed a series of tactical drills for neutralizing likely threats that may be encountered in a semi-urban environment while exploiting and showcasing new generation equipment and technology. The 10-day-long joint exercise included field training exercise, combat discussion, lecture and demonstration. The sea phase of dry service humanitarian assistance and disaster relief exercise between India and the US, codenamed Tiger Triumph, began in the Bay of Bengal on Thursday. The 3-day exercise includes units of both the countries setting up a joint command and control center and a joint relief and medical camp. A planning and coordination exercise is being undertaken to discuss and refine standards operating procedures to enable rapid and smooth coordination between the forces of both the countries. The exercise also represents the robust strategic partnership between both the countries and aims to share the best practices and standard operating procedures in undertaking multinational operations. The harbour phase of the exercise was conducted at Visakhapatnam last week. And with this, it's a wrap here on this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check our website, ddindia.co.in. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika Mehto, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India. Namaskar.